Welcome to Absolute Neanima, the series about everything Arknight's operators and its relationship to cinema. And today we break the mold and not doing a Cinema Nights related operator. Trust me, I tried to connect this operator to Cinema Nights, but unfortunately I couldn't make it fit yet. But don't mind that fact. Well, yes, keeping things in line with the series is nice and all, but the ultimate goal for me when it comes to making Arknight's content was to discuss things I love about the game, and there are some really cool and interesting operators that exist outside of my niche. Like, I was hoping to break this mold actually with Vulpes, who has her own script already done, but I felt inspired by the recent Tactical Breakfast article to talk about Brigid. While I normally agree with their takes, I really don't agree with everything here, and has accidentally inspired me to make 3 videos for this series. That Robin video was me building up to Wolfen Knight, who I want to discuss. There's also a Dust plus Shapecaster video I want to do, and then there's this video you're watching right now. Because here's the thing, Brigid is an uninspired low effort slop. What she is a wonderful innovation on something Narantia did, while evolving something artillery snipers were already trying, which I think is core to the philosophy of not only 5-star design, but also welfare design. Before I go any further, I need to put out a disclaimer, and I will definitely sound a little preachy in this, so I do apologize, but I'm just going to say it. This isn't an attack on Tactical Breakfast. Just because I used my disagreement on one of their takes as a framing device for this video, it doesn't mean I'm attacking them. I am just presenting an argument in defense of Brigid because it's merely something I want to get off my chest. I think everything else Tactical said is completely fucking valid. In fact, I think everything he says is valid. He just happens to have a different perspective of things which influences his takes, and that's fine. It's just from my perspective, which happens to value fun and creativity in this, I see Brigid differently, and I want to present my perspective as well, because I believe when it comes to forming opinions, you should always consider as many perspectives as possible before forming your own opinion. So please, after you're done here, go read Tactical's as per usual incredibly well written article, and maybe even seek even more opinions on her until you feel like you can form your own opinion comfortably. Also, Tactical, if you're somehow watching this, I don't mean this to demean you and your work, and I'm sorry if that's what you end up taking away from this video. Although I'm saying that like anyone would watch this, yeah, alone Tactical, because trust me, I have the same reaction to every video that somehow gets any higher than 20 views, which is basically,
Who are you people?
anyway, enough stalling. Let's talk about Best Dorgo. Brigid is our first 5-star loop shooter, which is very interesting from a release schedule perspective. Like, we started with Caper, a red cert 4-star, then we jumped straight to Nuantia, who came out with Pepe, being a really big ticket item alongside everyone's favorite meme cat, and then we get Brigid, a 5-star welfare option. Say what you want about 2 of the 3 members of a relatively new subclass being welfares, but I think welfares serve an incredibly important role in AK, which is being an easy to access alternative to other options in their class. For example, let's take Cerny, who is a good affordable arts tank, and was at the time an alternative to Asbestos, as both were solid options with dealing with, incoming arts damage. Glide is another really good example, because as as a hookmaster, as a niche is, something that needs to be filled sometimes. So giving players a 6-star option for that niche is really good, even if they had Rope, Snow Sand, or Cliffheart available to them. I would also extend that to Enforcer and Wayne King, who are both outshined by their 4-star options, but still serve an important role of being a welfare option that expands on the basic roles their 4-stars embodied, while still being a cheaper to raise option than the gacha alternatives. For Brigid, she expanded on the basic concepts Caper started, while offering an alternative to Naran 2 as well, which is now just easier to tap into for players who don't have Naran 2 yet. Knowing that she does it in her own unique way, which may not meet the same standards as Naran 2 has, but that's kind of the par for the course for 5-stars. So with that all said, let's begin with her talent and see what she brings to the table. Brigid's talent is really simple. After hitting an enemy 20 times, she gains 38% physical dodge chance. And yes, I'm using her pot version of this talent because welfare. It is worse than Noantia, sadly, who not only gets arts dodge, but also decreases the hit rate of enemies around her. But I am interested to see if this is where they want to go with loop shooters moving forward. While loop shooters have good long range, they excel at close range single target DPS due to how their trait works. But for this to work, they need a lot of survivability. This is why Noantia had both of her talents focused on that aspect. Her skills already do the heavy lifting in the DPS check, so now she just needs that survivability, which her talent covers. Brigid getting a watered down version of that is interesting, and honestly, I don't see the activation condition as a downside. It's very easy to achieve considering the class trait and how both of her skills focus on multi-healing. She has this she pretty much will have this talent up and running within seconds. I think my only complaint is, does it really need to be dodge? I mean, really, I can think of a few other interesting ways to explore this mechanic, like hitting a certain amount gives her a barrier, maybe? I don't know. Dodge is a little gimmicky and doesn't really help with the comparisons, especially when they share the same values as what she is an alternative to, that being Noantuya. Just a thought. Not helping with comparisons, Brigid S1 is an AFK-friendly version of Noantuya S1, which makes it extra funny that they decided to call this skill Familiarity. Like, okay, that's a bit on the nose, guys. It's not a stance skill, nor do we lose a tile of range this time. It's an auto crit skill, and we do lose about 60% of the damage that Noan 2's version of the skill offers as well, but that's fine. We can't expect a 5-star to compete with a 6-star after all, but I will say that I like this skill. It has 3 bounces at skill level 7 straight off the bat, and starting at M2 is 2 SP cost that makes the crit skills like this good, so you don't need to go for the full M3. You are only losing about 5% of the damage by not doing the M3 compared to the M2 anyway, so who cares. Being back my horse failure though, Noir Tia is just better here. That loss of tile range is really important to a skill like this when it emphasizes the close range DPS nature of that role, especially when the projectile bouncing means more time before it can be returned, therefore meaning more time before she can attack again. While it's nice to have that longer range now, that is just only more time before the foe if not placed optimally, which sucks when you're an offensive charge reliant skill. This skill is the skill worth mastering first, because you can just stop at that M2 breakpoint and that makes a that gives you a really solid AFK close range sniper option, which is just a bit of a mouthful, but who cares? Bring to heal is her S2, and this is where I definitely see why people think she's creatively uninspired, but I disagree. Basically, she gives herself a small attack boost, and her projectiles will now attach itself to the enemy it hits, slowing them and applying 4 more hits before returning. This seems familiar. I wonder where I had this for. Yes, it's Shiryuki S2. But hear me out. This is better, and no, it's not because of the rarity bump. First things first, this actually tracks with the enemy while Shiryuki, just spins in place. So the enemy can't just walk out of it. Second of all, better DPS than Shiryuki, obviously, but is also better than Jin Yun, whose S2 does something similar. Yes, Ji Yun has better coverage, but that's because her role is to be an AoE DPS slower, while Brigid is specialized into being a strong single target DPS. Matter of fact, let's just discuss how this apparently is one of the reasons why she's creatively uninspired, because she did it first. Jin Yun came out before her, and I didn't see anyone complaining about that. On top of that, this is like a brilliantly done innovation on Shiryuki's S2, as it removes the flaws it had and tuned it for the loop shooter indenting in mind. If this skill was to catch any flack at all, it should be the fact that it's an offensive recharge skill that takes 25 fucking hits to charge up at M3. Yes, you can SP vary this skill with Archetto, but not everyone has access to the Will Chetto. Well, let's be honest, I really like this skill. And yes, no Antuya SV is better than, because, I would expect that, because rarity bump, but, I'm just gonna address this whole Brigid versus no Antuya thing, okay? Throughout the video, I couldn't escape comparing Brigid to my beloved horse that isn't Oprah, And that's fine, because, like I said before, Bigot is an easy to access alternative to Nuantia, and that's really important, especially for newer players. In fact, that's a design philosophy across all 5-star welfares. They are simple by design, with an interesting niche or gimmick that's easy to digest for new players. Like, let's go back to Wenking. For example, like Wenking teaches how you can use the standard bearer by having a skill that incentivizes placing them near operators to give them the S2 buff. Underflow, on the other hand, provides a lot of small things in a very condensed package to help round off still developing rosters. Minimalist provides a super simple single target heart CPS that anyone with 2 brain cells can use. All that logic applies to Brigid. She is an easy to understand ranged physical DPS that can help new players understand how the subclass works. She does her job fabulously, and her S2 provides enough of an identity to make you unique. And that's the key problem I have with this tactical breakfast take. For veterans, it's 100% valid and completely understandable, but I think as a new player, this isn't right at all, and well, that's fine. Tactical has his audience, and he fights for that audience, which only cares about the best of the best. It's just, I'm worried that new players will take his word as gospel, because he has that much fucking clout in the community, and I should know, because that was me when I started playing. Tactical Breakfast was my gospel, and I learned so much about operators because of his summaries on Game Press, RIP Game Press. I think this, I think his voice is incredibly important. Just like many other Akis, Arknight's content creators' voices are important, which is why I wanted to make this video. I wanted to add to the discussion by providing a perspective that takes newer players in mind while defending an operator I genuinely like. So please keep an open mind about Bigot and future welfares, because they might seem worthless to you, but I can promise you, a new player, these are very valuable options they can have when they are just starting off this game. And well, I will hopefully see you for Fiametta next time, because if I need to delete that video again, I am going to be exploded by her. So she's definitely next.